Okay, welcome to our session, climate modeling session. And the first speaker is invited speaker, Nisan Chin. I'm sorry for my pronunciation. And she's going to talk about the climate change, rangelands, and sustainability of pastoralism in the Euro-Asian drylands. Thank you.
So, thanks, Chairman. So it's my pleasure to present our teamwork's research with you in this symposium. So actually, that I came from Japan, Nagoya University in this January. Originally, I'm a Mongolian person. So I came here that under the TÜBİTAK and Marine European Union program. So we are working on the climate change and rangelands and also the pastoralism in the Eurasian drylands. So this is actually the outline showing. So first of all, that I just want to recalling that what is the pastoralism. So actually this season is the climate modeling. So I just not only talk about the climate change, also that I want to do that recalling that we should work on the interdisciplinary way, not only climate scientists, not only meteorologists, so we should work together. So that's the reason that I prepared that my presentation this way. So all of you know that pastoralism is actually the herding. Mobility is more than 5,000 history. So that you can see that just the photo of here. So Mongolia and also Iran and also in Turkey and Europe. So what's the pastoralism is the important. So all of you know that because we are eating the meat and also we are drinking. Is the very low impact system, also that is the maintaining the biodiversity, also the soil fertility is also the used for the climate change mitigation. So you know that this is the also important for carbon sequestration. So another importance is that so pastoralism is also the social cultural benefit. So actually, we know that this pastoralism is the indicator of some culture and also providing some tourists. So this is showing that what the pastoralism importance the global.
Change it? No?
Okay.
So actually, that currently in the globally, almost that 30% of the global land is occupied by the pastoralism. So mostly that is occurring that very dry regions. So from that Africa and Middle East to the highland of the Asia and also South America. So is the country is almost 150 million people is the livelihood is depends on the herds, so they are herding this kind of animals. So second topic is about the climate change in the pastoralism. So you know everyone knows because we are anthropologists and climatologists. So we know that how the climate change is ongoing in our generation. So in here is I just point that Eurasian drylands is the most highly warming in the average warming is the higher than the global warming. So another is the climate change also that accelerating the climate hazards. So including the climate and weather disasters. So it started since the 1990s that's the sharply increasing the climate disaster compared to geophysical disasters. So this is also leading the increase in the climate disasters in our lives. So most importantly, this climate is affecting the natural dependent livelihoods like pastoralism, especially in the climate sensitive region, these Asian islands. So West Asia, for example, Turkey, in Eastern Turkey is the pastoralism, also the Central Asia and East Asia is like Mongolia. So this is the drought hotspot. So you can see that mostly the 1 billion people, mostly very poor people is the depends that pastoralism and also it's like about like 14 billion. So mostly is the neglected from the development of the process. So, but so far there is very huge attention that paid on the pastoralism, on the climate change and interdisciplinarity. So here is the some how the climate change affecting the pastoralism. So generally is that there is some direct impacts. So climate change is increasing the extreme events, some are including some droughts and fire and also the very extreme floods and also is affecting the pastoralist livelihoods. So another is that cascade impact, which is like indirect impacts. So it's affecting like ecosystem. So ecosystem was also leading some pests and also some diseases affecting the livestock production system. So another is that climate change affecting the land degradation. So this is the very important because the land is the main source for the animals of the human livelihoods. So these three is the affecting the livestock production. So if there is the livestock production is decreasing, so also meat price will increase, then affecting the pastoralists, not only pastoralists, also our city people's livelihoods. For example, that increasing the meat and also increasing some market price, then also affecting like globally the food security or something. So here is the showing that actually the pastoralism is the natural and social system. So not only it depends on the climate, so it depends on the three factors that interrelationships, herders and animals and also ecosystem. That means pastoral ecosystem. So this is the actually that way that is very cold and dry climate, including that Turkey is dry climate, but in East and West Asia, Central Asia is the hot system of climate, cold and dry climate. Also that rangeland is very sensitive. So in the modern pastoralists, there is the collapsing of the sustainability of the pastoralism, like leading that animal mortality and also the degradation of the pasture land, and also leading the very vulnerable herders. So we have to focus the information how to recover it. So scientists also we have to make some contribution. This is not only the policymakers matter, also researchers or scientists also we have to make some contribution on these systems. So to make some this climate change risk, so we have to consider the risk analysis. So risk means that risk is actually the combination of the climate hazards, also the vulnerability of the ecosystem or social system. So risk is actually the expected loss or damage of the system. So we have to focus not on the climate, so we have to focus also socio-economic vulnerability. So to reduce the climate change disasters, so we have to, especially the scientists should to contribute to mitigate the disaster risk and also make some reliable prediction, also early prediction to the recovering systems. So to the reducing in the future climate change, also current climate change, so science should be considered integrated. So not only the climate change only working modeling or climate analysis, so we have to work together. So we have, for example, the meteorologists, climatologists work together with social scientists, also the engineering scientists, also some health scientists. So integrated science is very important to reduce this socio-economic phenomenon. So then we can interpret very user-friendly way to the public. So it can be maybe reducing the future climate changes. So we have to use all the most relevant method. So modeling and remote sensing, also the very local interviewing, also some social-economic parameters. So actually this is actually very challenging work. So here our team is working that combine that integrated method. So actually the methodology is working only the top-down. So you know that top-down is the approach. Top-down is only one way from climate to top system, but it's really not actually a good way to interpret the local risk. So we have to focus on bottom-up approach. So bottom-up means like we have to work also local scale, like build something also including the workers in the local case. Then we combine the top-down approach and also bottom-up approach. Then we can make some climate change risk, some indices. So this is the one of the example of the top-down approach. So here is we trying to integrate the climate modeling, also ecosystem modeling. This is the grassland management model, also the socio-economic modeling, also the livestock modeling. So for example, if you use some GCS output, we can predict how the grassland will be changed, how the future livestock will be changed. So this is the one of the example of the top-down approach. So another way is that we also should to work on the bottom-up approach. So bottom-up means that we should work on the local scale. So in our project, we are interviewing some herders in the Turkey and Kazakhstan, also Mongolian and pastoral region. So, for example, this is some arrivals by Eastern Turkey, and also interviewed almost more than 300 herders. And you know that Eastern part is the pastoralist, also the European region, also the Finnish pastoralist. So here is the some photos. So we are interviewing the help from the local students, also from ITU, some young scientists. We are interviewing more than 300 herders. So they also explain that how their climate change is affecting their lifestyle and livelihood, also the livestock. So another is also, this is just what it is, how we also doing this kind of things. So here, just finally, I just want to show some case studies that, how many minutes?
15, more than 15.
So just I will explain. So this just the rangeland lands, because the rangeland is very important for the livestock animals. So here is the some climate change. So up to 2021, so this you can see that warming is also especially different. This is the drying trend. So you can see that Eastern Turkey is the drying, also the East Asia, some. So this is the livestock in the old country. So for example, this is the Turkey. So I think you know better than me actually. But we collected the livestock provinces data and comparing the some other countries. So in the present time, livestock number is the highest in the Turkey comparing to the other countries. So especially in the Eastern Turkey is the very base livestock. But the grazing land is decreasing, especially in the crop region in the Konya or this central Anatolia region. So also in Mongolia is also increasing, but in Kazakhstan is like decreasing. So this is also the human affected or political impacts on the livestock. Also, this is also one of the example. So actually, in this region, so there is the 4 climate-related disasters. So it's that interrelated. For example, in summer there is a drought, so it will be also affecting in the spring dust storm. Also in the winter there is a very harsh winter, is also affecting the winter disasters. So if this will continue more than 10 years, it will lead in that some precipitation. So for Turkey cases, I think that there is no climate-related disasters. So the main is that like drought and dust storm is the precipitation is the more. So this is just a Mongolian example. So generally, in Mongolia is also the increasing climate and also increasing the livestock number leading the grassland vegetation. So also one of the factors is the dust storm. So you know that this region is the East Asian dust source. So dust from here is reaching the America through the Southeast Asian country through the Pacific Ocean. So this is also increasing in recent years. So one of the examples is that they are killing many animals, also even human, affecting the pastoralist lifestyle. So one of the problems is also in the winter, many animals die due to the very extreme cold and also heavy snowfall. Also, this is leading that also summer drought is leading the livestock starvation. Then is the many animals is dying. For example, just in the 1-2 months, we lost just 10 million livestock due to this climate disasters. So, but this is just a case in the Mongolian case. Every year, 1 year is decreasing the pastoralism. So it's the really questionable sustainability of the pastoralism in the future. So for Turkey, so you know that in Turkey case, unfortunately, today's the nomadic people in Turkey is going to be extinct. So it's because of the modern needs of the transportation, also the very understandable ambitions of the young generation. So they want to live in the city, so they don't want to be hurting the animals. So this is also one of the not low, unfortunate something happening in Turkey, the pastoralism. So this is just one example. So you know that in the 2000s, the drought is increasing, especially you know that last year was very severe drought, 2021. So this is the leading the grassland lack of pasture for animals. So you can see that just after drought, livestock number is decreasing in Turkey. So this is actually the combination of the climate, also some, I don't know, some human impact or hurdles started to impact society. So how about the future? So we are just working on the future climate change, working and using some physics results. So this is just 3 scenarios for the 5 CMP model results. So entire Eurasia looks like very strong warming is projected, but the precipitation looks like slightly increased. So the especially is like this. You can see that from 1 degree to the same degree of delta, end of this century, that this area will be that very strong warming experience. So how about the precipitation? So precipitation is the very interesting. Only in the Turkey is that decreasing drying rains, but comparing to other Asian countries, for example, Central to East Asia is slightly increased, but only Turkey, you can see that in the near term, in mid-term, and future term, there is also increasing. So, but also we are working on how the climate hazards increasing. So this is just a Mongolian case. Very severe droughts also projected, but the winter is the mild, but snow is the higher snow is the projected. So this is also leading some livestock mortality. So this is the one of the example how the heavy snow will occur in the future. So this is just a published paper. So actually, you know that last winter was very heavy snow in Istanbul, and this is the eastern Turkey. So this is also very difficult for herders. So up to now, there is still the shifting more arid climate because of the climate change. So that climate limitation will be potentially severe consequences for the sustainability of the pastoralism. So in Eurasian islands, so it will be leading that food insecurity and also that this is losing the environmentally and social cultural benefits. So scientists should work not only one subject, we should work together. So we should combine all the science, then we can maybe predict, so we can make some contribution to that flock of people. So thank you very much. This is my presentation. If you want, maybe you can find me here.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. We have plenty of time for questions. Any questions? It was very interesting subject.
Yeah, maybe different economic model.
Yes.
Yeah, but you have to work together, not only climate logists, so social scientists, anthropologists, also that health scientists, we should work together. Then we can make some future or currents. So I want to highlight here. I will be happy if you give me some comments, especially in Turkey, because Turkey is for me is the new. I was working in Central Asia and East Asia, but in West Asia is this year I started on my project. So if you give me some comments on the Turkey, I will be happy.
But in future, we expect more drought in Turkey and not like the other regions you did. And also it affects a lot, but I don't think the climate is the main problem. Main problem is the political decisions about how can we separate these political decisions for sustainability? And what can you say about it?
Just for Mongolian case, we also found that not 50% is climate, 50% is the human man-made. So we including the political, social relationship. So but actually also we have to, okay, we can make some this kind of research, very user-friendly. So then we can disseminate to the policymakers. So we have to explain. So this will be happening, so you have to work actively. So I think there is some lack of scientists and policymakers everywhere, right? So I think scientists also should work science communication, not only science, also communication. This is
because the climate is already extreme, then we made some wrong decisions, then it's
so that means you have to work, not only because they don't want to get this kind of research, because it's affecting some economic, right? So scientists should work science communication. So distribute their scientific research to local and policymaker. I think that's the most important. So we have to work also together, scientists. Then very easy way, just ordinary language we should do. Because scientific language is very difficult, right? So we have to make user friendly. That's the most important.
Thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting. The most interesting part was for me the extinction of nomads and the information about the stock also was very interesting because I had no information about that before. But where did you get the data about nomads? Please stop it. The extinction, where did you get this point?
We interviewed the eastern part of Turkey and also the Mersin region. So we also get some local data from local provinces. That's also the decreasing number of workers. So another livestock data is from statistical, I don't know, agency in Turkey. So we get that data in province here. So livestock, this livestock data, this one, so we get province level for some Turkey's how many provinces. So then we using some downscale modeling. So here is the 50-50 meters to downscale here. So data is from statistical office. that extend this visit on local provinces, also that we include the local programs. So even they asked that, so you want to continue your kids to be nomadic? So they said, no, we don't want, because of this is very harsh climate, also there is no beneficial way to make this nomadic. So it said that it's very unhappy to nomads is stop ending in our community. The most of almost 80% of the answer that this. Yeah, this is actually everywhere the same. So if we're using the pastoralism, we are using how to say pasture-based meat, also milk. Yeah, in the future, mostly is like chemical meat. Yeah. So thanks for it.
Any question? I think no. Okay. Thank you very much. It was a very nice presentation for us. And the next speaker is İrem Işık Çetin. She is going to talk about the CMIP6 multimodal ensemble development for future offshore wind resources of Turkey.
Hello, my name is İrem Işık Çetin. First of all, I would like to thank you on behalf of Professor Dr. İsmail Hoca and me for inviting us this presentation. Our study is CMIP6 multimodal ensemble development for future offshore wind resources of Turkey. And and this is my outline. First, I will make a brief introduction, and I will show what kind of data we use and what kind of method we use in this study. Then I will show the results and analyze it with the conclusion. As you may already know, Turkey has no offshore wind farm yet, but we have 11 gigawatt wind onshore wind power installed capacity now. However, based on the recent studies from the World Bank, we have 70 gigawatt offshore wind power potential. And also, Turkey has launched 1.2 gigawatt offshore wind power tender in 2018, but there were no bids received, and the tender is postponed due to the lack of on-site measurements. So if we don't have any on-site measurements, we can use the global climate models, and therefore we aim to determine our wind resource variability and the existence of the wind resource, of course, by using distant climate projections from coupled model intercomparison project 6, which is the recent CMIP6 models, for surrounding seas around Turkey in order to investigate offshore wind possibilities. And this is our study area. And we choose Black Sea, Marmara Sea, Aegean Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea to understand the available wind resource. I cannot go further. We use 13 different CMIP6 models, and we use reference data LF5, which is 0.95 horizontal resolution as a reference, and observed data. So our first, in order to obtain wind speeds as 100 meters above the sea level, we use hypsometric equation to calculate the thickness of the pressure level from the surface and the 1000 millibar pressure level. So in order to calculate the hypsometric equation, we also use virtual temperature. So we need a lot of parameters. Therefore, these available parameters for two different scenario and historical period is also limited our model selection. Therefore, we use only 13 simulation model. After calculating the thickness of the 1000 millibar pressure level, we use shear exponent, and we take the shear exponent as constant, which is also recommended in the international electromechanical communication as 0.14. And to evaluate the models, we use classical statistical error matrix, smooth mean square error, Personal bias, correlation coefficient, and the standard deviation of the error. So we try, in order to increase the individual SIM6 model performances, we use random forest regression instead of classical simple mean or multiple linear regression. We try random forest regression because the method creates decision trees based on the conditions in the model data. And the multiple decision trees in the method is tend to reduce uncertainties. And the method is also successful in the large data sets. So we use monthly data from 1980 to 2014 as a train period, and from 2014 to 2100 we use this period as a test period for two different scenarios, SSP5 and SSP2. And the era 5 data, as I said, was the reference data. So we trained the model based on the era 5, and then we test, we produce predictions for the test period. Then we obtain the coefficients and use these predictions for the entire study period. And so this is our method, and so I should say that we take the average for average grid for each C, and these are our results from the for each model performances. Unfortunately, it not seems good, but I can explain. This is the in the x-axis, you can see the each SIM6 model, and each dot represents the grid of each model included in the C. Each column represents a C, Aegean, Black Sea, Mediterranean Sea, and Marmara Sea. And each row in the graph represents each error. So standard deviation, Newton square, correlation, and the Personal bias is the last row. And we can see that all models has underestimated to verify individually, but there are some models based on the each C, they have better results. For example, Alfred Wegener Institute model has better correlations, but high Personal bias in the agency, but also their performances is also changed from grid to grid. So if you look at our prediction results, here you can see the underestimation of each SIMIC model for each C. For example, let's look at agency. In the pink box represents the era 5, and the brown box represents the random forest. So you can see how our random forest prediction is successful during the train period, and near all models has underestimated. The result is more or less same. You can see less model in the Marmara Sea, because Marmara Sea, since it is a small sea, the grids in the Marmara Sea were lack, so we could not use each model because based on the model resolution, there were no grids for some models in the Marmara Sea. And this is our results for seasonal and regional. So correlation, the predicted random forest correlation with the era 5 has highest in the Aegean Sea. It is 0.98 nearly, and the lowest correlation can be seen in the Black Sea for summer season, and the others are very close to each other. And the highest atmospheric error is in the Mediterranean Sea, and the lowest standard deviation is again in the Mediterranean Sea in the summer season. So if we use, instead of using random forest, if we use simple GCM mean, you can see the results with blue dots and their correlations. And the orange one shows our predictions. Although there is very limited models in the Marmara Sea, our results seems better than the GCM means, 13 GCM means. And the Aegean Sea, Black Sea, and Mediterranean Sea results is very close to the 1/1 regression line. So these are our results for entire time period. What I mean is 1980 to 2100. And since era 5 data is only available for 2014, you can see the orange box plots with era 5 and the green box plot is the random forest prediction, and the blue box plot is the GCM, simple GCM means for entire period. This is of course for the SSP 5, but more or less the results is similar with the SSP 2. So you can see the success of the random forest prediction, of course, and these are average values, but we can see the variability of the wind during the 21st century by using this regression method. And we can also say that at 100 meters above the sea level, Aegean sea wind speed is promising for Turkey offshore wind energy potential, which is around 8 meters per second. And Marmara Sea is also better together with the Mediterranean Sea, but Black Sea has low wind speeds. And we also check the monthly variation of the projected changes. And if you can see in the first row shows the near-term results for the in terms of percentage for each sea. So we can say that by depending on our results, the wind speed in the Aegean Sea will increase in the spring season up to 10% and will be decreased up to 10% again, according to the two scenarios. However, and also for all time periods. However, in the Black Sea, wind speeds will be increased up to 20%, which is very good because the Black Sea is not feasible for offshore wind investments by depending on existing wind atlas now. But it seems there will be an increase in the summer months, but there will be also decrease in the winter months and fall as well. And there will be little changes in the Marmara Sea and also in the Mediterranean Sea. We are expecting 10% decrease in the winter and spring season, Mediterranean Sea wind speeds, and there is very small difference between SSP2 and SSP5. So, in conclusion, we have calculated 100 meter wind speeds above the sea level by using pressure levels in 6 data and for surrounding seas, and we use two different scenarios and CIMIC models. All CIMIC models underestimate Turkey for era 5, and also Aegean Sea wind speeds is promising for the future offshore wind investments, and seasonal variability is also important not only for this study but also for the increasing electricity demand in the summer season due to the high drought and climate change effects. And projected changes in the Marmara Sea are low, but as I said, the number of projects were limited in this region. And our random forest results perform better than any individual GCM which is used in this study. And the difference between scenarios was very small. And of course, we know that wind is the most complex parameter, so it requires micro and mesoscale modeling. So we use GCMs with coarse resolution, but further work needed to establish to increase this resolution of each GCM models in order to evaluate and take into account to local effects, thermal flow, obstacles, and surface roughness as well. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Iram. Any questions? Prodromos, please. We will expect, actually, we talked before the presentation. And
Okay.
we will expect he's going to ask a question.
I'm going to ask Etezyamins.
You saw for the GMC, the better results more or less in the combination, but I couldn't really follow because it was far away. What do we expect in the future for the different scenarios related to the GLC and the wind?
Thank you.
We have visitation winds, don't tell me, as they say. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see some pattern of change?
Yeah, actually, as I said, this is very coarse resolution, but as you can see from this graph, we are expecting, especially in the summer months, there is an increase in the agency for both scenarios. So our Etezyamins can be increased.
More questions? Yes, please.
So the first one is there any specific reason that you choose random force for your others? And this one is if you ever try a gradient.
Thank you for the question. Actually, I try multiple linear regression and random forest. This is a part of my PhD thesis. I didn't put the multiple linear regression, but we choose random forest because random forest correlation says better than the multiple linear regression. I didn't use the gradient forest.
Since it's a time series,
Yeah, maybe we could try.
I think we have all the questions. Thank you, Iram, again. Very nice presentation. And next presentation from our neighbor, Greece, Prodromos Zanis, is going to present future climate change projections for Greece based on an ensemble of high-resolution regional climate model simulations.
Thanks, Paris, for the introduction. We know each other with Paris since many years. We have met in Trieste, in the International Center for Theoretical Physics. And just before starting, since we are waiting for the presentation, I'm professor at the Department of Meteorology and Climatology at Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. And what I'm going to present you is more or less an assessment of future climate projections for Greece based on a multimodal approach with different high-resolution regional climate model simulations, which were carried out in the framework of an initiative which is called Cordex, and there is an initiative about Europe. We have its Euro Cordex, and there's a number of simulations. Okay, it's one of my co-authors is also in the audience. It's Professor Dimitris Melas that presented earlier, and we have some other colleagues from the university. Okay, let's give you some information or motivation about this study, because this assessment is part of a climate network climate change network in Greece, and the initiative is reasonable. I mean, if you see Mediterranean, we may have that is one of the hotspot regions for the future, with increasing temperature, with warming trends that are stronger than the global mean warming. But this we saw also, we see this also in the near present. So compared to the pre-industrial times, the warming in the Mediterranean is 1.5 degrees more or less, which is a little bit higher than the global warming, which is roughly about 1 degree. Okay, and you see, I mean, some statistical some measures from the Eurostat in 2021. An estimation of the cost of climate change for the period of the 21st century is estimated at about 600 to 700 billion euros. I mean, the difference between mitigation and non-mitigation, so there is a lot of cost. And meanwhile, I mean, you see all the indicates all this public awareness and political awareness has been increasing. And all this led us in Greece to establish CLIMPACT. CLIMPACT is a national network on climate change and its impacts. This is the web address of this network. So there are many universities and institutes involved in this network, and the aim is to provide, let's say, the know-how, the expertise, and support the state and society for tackling climate change. Okay, in this framework, we have been looking at different high-resolution regional climate models, and when I say high resolution, I mean with a horizontal resolution roughly about 0.1 degrees, that's about 20.5 kilometers. Horizontal resolution, that's high resolution for regional climate models. And we have looked three different kinds of scenarios. That's RCP 2.6, RCP 4.5, and RCP 8.5. These are three scenarios that in 2.6 we have a strong mitigation. In 4.5 we have intermediate mitigation, and in 8.5 we have actually no further mitigation measures in 21st century. So another approach that we followed is that there are many simulations, but we selected the models that they had simulations for all three scenarios in order to have a homogeneous sample from all models for all scenarios and the historical period. Just a little bit about evaluation of the multimodal ensemble that calculated from all these 11 different RCM simulations. More or less, here you see evaluation for 4 different parameters. On the top, we have the bias in near surface temperature. Then we have the bias in minimum temperature, minimum daily temperature, maximum daily temperature, and precipitation. More or less, if you look in the temperatures, you see an underestimation from the multimodal mean. So we have a right of a little bit of negative bias, which is for temperature is roughly rate about 0.8 degrees, something below, something clear close to 1 degree Celsius. And this bias, this cold bias, more or less, of the model we see basically in most parts of Greece. In the domain, you also have part of Turkey and in Minor Asia, and so we have information from Turkey as well. This in the graphs that we will see. So cooling you see also in Turkish region, basically Minor Asia. And okay, and if you go to precipitation, there you see bias and overestimation. So basically, the multimodal mean that most of the models overestimate precipitation, and the areas that they overestimate precipitation is over high altitude, I mean, orographic barriers, and there you have this estimation. Now, if you see the spatial distribution or the correlation spatially, we have very good spatial correlation for temperature, not that good for precipitation, 0.6, 0.9 for temperature. So overall, the Eurocortex multimodal temperature data exceeded the regional agreement with graded observational data. I forgot to tell you that the observational data that we have used are graded data are the well-known EOPS data, which have been used in a similar horizontal resolution of roughly 0.1 degrees. So, but for precipitation, we have moderate agreement. Okay, now I'm going to show you some results of the future projections, and more or less what you will see in the all figures is on the left side, you see the time series of the changes, and that's average values for the continental part of Greece. On the right side, you see the spatial fields of the changes for different time periods. I mean, in the recent future and in the far future, in the end of the 21st century. So practically, as you may expect, of course, the largest increase in temperature is the RCP 8.5 scenario, reaching up to more or less more than 4 degrees. And towards the end of the 21st century, lowest for the scenario with strong mitigation, which somehow keeps the temperature roughly to 1 degree in relation to the historical period of 96 to 1990. Okay, if you see spatially the changes for the different periods, as you go towards the end of the 21st century, you have stronger, of course, changes. And this is homogeneous, more or less, this change is homogeneous throughout Greece, but someone can identify that the largest temperature changes are over the continental part than over the sea. That has to do with the heat capacity. And that's an index based on temperature. This is the hot days, and hot days are the number, the frequency of days with temperature greater than 35 degrees Celsius. And of course, as we'd expect, you see what? You see changes similar to temperature, following the pattern of temperature. And that's the number of hot days will be increasingly becoming larger, exponentially somehow in RCP 8.5, but they are getting more or less stabilized in the other. If you see the spatial features of the changes, you can possibly mention that this is there are areas in Greece, and maybe there are areas in Turkey which they will experience largest changes in the increase of hot days. But in Greece, for example, that we are very much interested, once hotspot area is this plain of Thessaly. There's a lot of agricultural activities there, and also in the northern central Macedonia, where we live near Thessaloniki. So those areas that they will feel more heat stress and more warm days. That will be even worse, of course, towards the end of the 21st century for the RCP 8.5. I'm not going to bother, sorry. Okay, as we would expect, if the hot days become increasing, the frost days, which are the days with the minimum daily temperature lower than 0 degrees, will become decreasing. Of course, that's what we see here. So it's reflected to the hot days, to the frost days, more or less what we see here, the decreasing trend for the frost days, depending on the scenario. I'm not going to, how many minutes do I have, Boris?
4.
4 minutes, okay. So I will give some attention basically to precipitation. I mean, if you look at the changes in precipitation, you will not notice some robust changes in the future, in the multimodal unit. You can notice it only towards the end of 21st century. And for RCP 8.5 scenario, for the worst scenario, that means that if you use multimodal units, it's good to see how robust the results are. There are different models with different results. And here we have you know, shaded areas, so I mean, the non-shaded areas are the robust, the ones with the robust changes, decreasing trends, for example, in precipitation. And the only robust changes that we can see is in this here in the last graph. That's towards the last 30 years of the 21st century. And we see that over the mountainous areas in Western Greece and in Creta, for example. Yeah, but that means robust part. That we consider as robust that 7 out of 11 models agree on the sign of change, and they have also statistical significant changes with a confidence level of 95%. So that's what we consider robust. Otherwise, the changes in most part of in other part of Greece and for other scenarios are not robust. Okay. And this is more or less see also when we look the number of very heavy precipitation days per year. Again, the robust results are towards, we see a decrease actually of the number in the frequency of very heavy precipitation days. A decrease up to 4 days for us in 8.5 scenario. So that more or less follow the pattern of precipitation. But it's a different thing, the frequency of events to the intensity of the events. A recent study by a colleague, George Zitis from the Cyprus Institute, investigated the intensity in these simulations. And the intensity of the very heavy precipitation events is increasing. So we have tension, let's say, in the worst scenario, we have even a decrease in the frequency of extreme precipitation, but increasing the intensity in precipitation. The precipitation is also linked to what we say consecutive dry days. So the consecutive days that they have precipitation lower than 1 millimeter. So this is an index, a drought more or less index, is related to precipitation. So its robustness also related to the robustness of precipitation results. And we have attention for, let's say, increase of this consecutive dry days, especially for RCP 8.5 towards the end of the 21st century. So I have only 2 transparencies to show, just that all these data that we have in the framework of impact, we feed them in a visualization system, and this is the address if someone wants to visit. And all this data for many different, not only these parameters that I showed you, many different climate indices, and also for different impact sectors, tourism, agriculture, and other sectors, forest fires, are all somehow introduced in this visualization system, and someone can make a look on the results. And I close with this. We need to play this. This is a spiral.
Okay.
This is a spiral change of temperature developed from one of my colleagues, Aristides Georgoulias, and that's for the 3 different scenarios: 2.6, 4.5, 8.5, and you see the evolution and how this is becoming warmer in the worst scenario. And with this, I would like to thank you for the attention. And if you would like to visit and read more, have more time and read our work, there is this publication by my colleague Georgoulias. So thanks again for your attention.
Thank you very much, Prodromos. One quick question.
I'll be quick. Thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting. First of all, I have one comment. Impact of that GR is not working, I guess. And I also checked impact meteor no GR. It's not also working, I guess. Maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah. No, I mean, yesterday that I visited the site, it was working, but
so maybe I wrote something wrong.
Yeah.
And the other thing, just if I'm missing something in my studies, I'm asking this for this. You also work with RCE 2.6.
Yes.
I usually don't work with that because I say, okay, we are already over these what's expected by RCE. But you work on this. Why did you do this?
2.6. Still, I mean, if you see in the recent IPCC report, we have SSPs, and we have also SSPs 2.5, and we have even SSP 1.9. So you have even stronger, you see that even IPCC continues to give some scenarios in order, let's say, to see if we can keep warming lower than 1.5 degrees globally. How realistic it is, it's another story. But still, the scenarios are scenarios, and they give the range in the sensitivity of the model results. And that's good to have, this information. Policy is a different story from science.
2.6 is happy face scenario.
Yeah, sure.
One more thing, I just want to learn this because I'm interested. It's not my study area. So you said that agriculturally sensitive areas are more increasing in temperature. Are there any regulations, governmental regulations about this?
I think that's in the plain of Thessaly, it's the topography like that, that normally even with the present time we have more heat waves. So the highest temperatures are reached in this very common in this area, not only this area, but so for the agriculture to say, I think there is much work to be done. Okay. So there are discussions, but still, I think we have a way to go.
I think we do. Thank you very much for the almost very nice presentation. Thank you again. We are now moving to next presentation. Serpil Yahan. Is she here? Would you please? And they're attending from the Meteorology State Department, and she's going to present us heating, cooling degree days assessment.
Welcome to my presentation. My name is Serpil Yahan. I'm working at State Meteorology Science, and I'm attending this presentation. We work heat and cooling days in Turkey.
Okay.
Change in the violence and intensity of meteorological parameters, such as the temperature and precipitation due to climate change, will also affect the future energy needs. This change will bring warmer or colder but better conditions and change in heating and cooling needs. Due to climate change, the excessive cooling of the weather in the winter months and excessive heating in summer months. And accordingly, use the heating cost increase and increase economy. For this reason, it is one of the most practical methods to use heating and cooling degree-based calculation for prediction of change in energy needs for the future. or now or present time. Hot days are taken into account when calculating the cooling day degrees. Also, cold days are taken into account when calculating the heating day degrees. More extreme heat or extreme cold means a higher number of day degrees. A higher number of days also requires more energy consumption to heat or cool place. Estimating and meeting the future energy demands correctly is related to most accurate prediction of the heating and cooling needs due to climate change. Therefore, heating cooling days degree are important. The heating cost is directly proportional to annual heat, HVDD. HVDD is also used to compare the harness of winter season relative to periods and long years time. It's also a parameter needed by the construction industry to calculate to input records for isolation, heating, and cooling when construction new buildings. At the same time, also CD is required for cooling, especially hot days or summer. Knowing the sum of the heating or cooling days is important, which is calculating the energy requirement for heating or cooling the new buildings. We try to study that carried out in order to show the change in the heating and cooling degrees of the Turkish State Meteorological Service of 129 stations in Turkey between the years 1975 to 2005 and 2007 and 2021, and the last period 2021. We can use method when we can use method data on heating and cooling degree days are obtained from the meteorological data processing division software development branch. For 199 centers in Turkey, heating degree days is calculated monthly when the daily average temperature drops below 15, and cooling degree days is calculated monthly when it rises above 22 degrees, and is also shown as a map. HDD maps are drawn in January, February, March, April, May, October, November, and December. Generally, is cold days. Maps are drawn for the months of CDD maps are drawn for the maps of May, June, July, August, September, and October. Monthly evaluation of EDD and CDD established and maps on the website of the Turkish State Meteorological Service. Also, annual evaluation are published as tables. Heating and cooling degree days. The degree days is a unit which is used to measure how much of 24 hours period is hot and how much is cold, according to a certain threshold. It explains the severity of cold in a certain period, or day, month, or a year, by taking into account the outdoor and room temperature. When countries use different definition for calculating the degree days, European Community Statistical Service Eurostat recommends the following method to calculating HDD. You can use the formula. This TN daily mean temperature. The calculation is done on a daily basis, monthly, and annual degree days are found by adding them. This for the example for calculating daily PDD day. Cooling degree days explain explain the intensity of the temperature based on the outdoor temperature in a certain period. As you know, day, month, year. Although there is no officially determined threshold temperature, the threshold temperature is taken 22 degrees in energy management practice of the construction sector. As this is formula for cooling degree days, and this is one example you can see. Heating and cooling degree days, sum is needed for the following reasons. Knowing the sum of the heating or cooling days is important in terms of calculating the energy cycle for heating or cooling buildings. If the outdoor temperature is above 15 degrees, heating is unnecessary. Heating cost is directly proportional to annual PDB. For this, the fuel cost in 1 year is divided by the annual PDB, and the heating price for 1 PDB is deducted. This index used for the further calculation. PDB is also used to compare the harvest of winter season relative to previous and long years. And PDB is also a parameter needed by the construction sector to calculate inputs required for installation, heating, and cooling while construction new buildings. There is a great demand for energy for heating and cooling requirement in our country. Energy expenditures reach record levels in the colder than the normal winter and the other summer seasons. The increase in temperatures due to climate change, the effects of which we have started to feel more stable in recent years, also cause change in the demands for heating and cooling. As stated in our PCC reports, our country is located in Eastern Mediterranean basin, which is one of the most sensitive regions to climate change. In the study, PDBs and CDs are shown with maps and graphics in order to show the current status of heating cooling days for 120 stations. Monthly graphics, you can see monthly graphics. Look at the month average PDB change, for all long years. It seems that the PDB are lower in June, July, August, and September than the other months. The variation in the months that the PDB is low is 0 and 12 degree days. The highest PDB values we calculated in January, February and December. It seems that the month average CDB change for all locals are lower for CDB, especially for CDB for in the lower in January, February, March, April, November, and December than the other months. The highest PDB values were calculated in July and August for summer. PDB values of the last year are higher than the long-term average expects, especially March, June, September, and October. It was lower in the other months. The CDB values especially April, May, July, and August, the higher maximum level. When we look at the graphic, we try to triplet 1,975 and 2020, and the last period last year, 2021, according to monthly average for the heating degree days, it seems that the PDB values in the second period are lower than the PDB values in the first period. for the long period. In the last year, except for months of March, June, September, and October, there is a decrease in HDD values compared to other periods. CDD graphics, when we look at this long period and second periods and the last year, according to monthly average for the cooling degree days, it seems that the volume second period higher than the first period. In July and August for last year, 2021, there is an increase in CDD values compared to other periods. The annual term for TD and CDD graphics is considering the change of the mean heating degree days for long term. There is a slight decrease in the heating requirement from the past to present. When we look at the change of mean cooling degree days for long term, there is a slight increase in the requirement from the past to present. And there is a anomaly trend, slight decrease in the anomaly and trend of the annual heating degree days. There is a slight increase in the anomaly and trend cooling degree days. When we look at the maps, there are two maps, especially I want to say the last year maps. HDD days decrease the other periods, especially in all three maps. It seems that the heating requirements has increased in Ardahan, Sarıkamış, Kars, Ağrı, Erzurum station in the eastern Anatolia region. When we look at the CDD maps. Last year, especially last year, increased the other periods. Three max cooling requirements has increased in Cizre, Şanlıurfa, Ceylanpınar, Adıyaman, and Siirt station located in the southern Anatolia region. In this study, the change in the number of heating and cooling days in the three periods, looking at the monthly average HDD change for long year, it seems that the HDDs are lower in June, July, August, and September than the other months. It seems that the monthly average CDD change for all long years are lower in January, February, March, April, November, and December than the other months. HDD values of 2021 are higher than the long term, except March, June, September, and October. HDD values of 21 years was lower in the other months. The CDD values of 21 were higher than the long term in April, May, June, and August. Considering the change of mean heating degree days for long term, there is a slight decrease in the heating requirement from the past to the present. When looking at the change of mean cooling degree days for long term, there is a slight increase in the cooling requirements from the past to now. In the last year, the annual heating requirement has decreased from 2032 degrees Celsius 1,992 degrees Celsius compared to second period. As a result, increase in energy consumption along with the increase for cooling during hot periods. So hot periods, they may be decrease in energy consumption with the decrease in the heating. Thanks.
Thank you, Serpil Young. Nice presentation. Any quick questions? Actually, I couldn't understand the last two figure. Can you go back to last two figure? Like this one, which one is represents which one? I mean, it's 75 to 2005, which one is that one? Left hand side?
This one, 119 and 9,075. This second, 2007 and 2021. Last map, 2021.
Okay,
Okay.
that, okay, but there is
For CDD,
no too much trend, right? Is there any trend between these upper two?
yes, increasing
Which way?
from the past to now, especially
Which region?
this is Southern Anatolia.
Okay,
Anatolia. Yes. Ceylan Pınarı, Cizre, Şanlıurfa, Adıyaman.
Okay. These are not anomaly, these are just mean. Okay.
Yes, these are
Okay. Any question? Quick question.
Question, but diplomatic. Thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting. Really. My comment is we are always happy that our expenses in heating will
Yes.
decrease, but now we are. I understand that we should be happy, and we have to compare which one is more expensive, cooling or heating now. Maybe cooling will be more expensive than heating expensive.
it's changeable because in winter heating is more expensive. Fuel or coal, economic increasing. In summertime, and air condition is more expensive getting more getting economy. I don't know.
We have to think about it.
Thank you. Thank you again. Okay, we have to move for next presentation. Now, the next presentation from Mehmet Barış Kelebek. He's going to talk about the evolution of the historical SMIP6 based convective permitting climate simulations over the Black Sea region.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Barış Kelebek from Atmospheric Sciences Department, Istanbul Technical University. I'm an MSc student currently, and today I'm going to talk to you about our study called Evaluation of Historical Synapses-Based Convection Permitting Climate Simulation over the Black Sea region. This is actually a part of my MSc thesis. I'm currently writing that. Warming of the Black Sea in the recent years has led to the intensification of the extreme precipitation events over this region, especially over the coasts of Turkey, the Eastern Black Sea, the Western Black Sea regions. And here's an example from the last year's flood event, 11th of August 2021, the Kastamonu Batman Snow flood event. There was an extreme precipitation event over this region, and more than 80 people lost their lives in that region. Actually, high-resolution numerical weather prediction models are good at predicting this kind of events in the short range from 2 to 4 days, and they are generally successful in capturing the spatial distribution of the precipitation amount. Here's an example. We done this simulation last year in ITU to 1 day before the Kastamonu event to predict the precipitation, and these results was actually very close to the observations. After the event, we just look at the State Meteorological Services data, and these results were close to the observations. And in a warmer future climate, we expect that in a warmer future climate, these kind of events will be more intense and their number will increase in the future because of the warming of the Black Sea. Therefore, we need high resolution climate information over this region, future climate information. The simulations that we've done over this region, short-term forecasts, and the warming of the Black Sea region actually motivated us to do a climate simulation over this region. And our major tool for the regional climate studies are the RCMs, regional climate models, and recently they are run at a convection permitting scale in which the grid size is smaller than the 4 kilometer. Actually, they are called convection permitting models, in which there is no need for a convective parameterization scheme. This is an important point because convection parameterization is an important reason of the errors in the simulations. When you close the convection scheme, actually you improve your results, the spatial distribution of the precipitation and the precipitation amount. There are climate simulations using CPMs in the literature recently, and they are based on simplified protocols. They use, for the future simulations, they use RCP scenarios. And in this study, we performed a 10 years long historical climate simulation using the WRF model at 3 kilometer horizontal resolution, using the last generation SMIP6 outputs. We used MPI, ESM, HR, ESM outputs and performed our simulation over the Black Sea region. And I'm going to tell WRF CP or climate results hereafter. This is our simulation domain. It covers the Black Sea region and the broad part of the Anatolian Peninsula. We use WRF model version 3.9.1. Our simulation period starts from 1st of September 2004 and ends at 1st of January 2015. Our analysis period starts from the beginning of the 2005 and goes to the end of the 2014. We took the first month as a spin-up time. We did not include that period into the analysis. And our boundary conditions comes from 100 kilometer horizontal resolution, MPI, ESM, HR outputs, and we directly downscale that data to 3 kilometer resolution using 6 coordinate intervals boundary conditions. And our domain has 547 grid points over the east-west direction and 364 grid points in the south-north direction. And in the vertical, we have 50 model levels. As the parameterization options, we use Thomson's scheme for the microphysics, RRTRG for long wave and short wave radiation, YSU scheme for the planetary boundary layer, and Money-Obuchol scheme for the surface layer. Land-atmosphere interactions become important at the climate scale. Therefore, we use land-surface model in order to represent the land-atmosphere interactions. And the most important point in the simulations, we switched off the convective parameterization options. As I said before, these are convection permitting simulations. We let the model to solve the convection explicitly in the model. Model becomes able to, at this scale, to solve the convection actually at the measure scale. So we switched off the convective parameterization for deep and shallow cumulus. We compared our model outputs with observational and reanalysis datasets, grid datasets. Here is the horizontal resolution of the data. We used CHIRS, MSWEP, and RFI flat data for precipitation. RFI flat is reanalysis data. MSWEP uses observations and reanalysis. It's a blended data. CHIRS is observational data. It uses satellite observations and other observations. RFI flat is a reanalysis data, and we also use terra climate data. It's an observational data, but we use it only for the temperature. Here's the evaluation of the annual precipitation amount. At the first row, we see MPI SMHR outputs or GCM data. This is our simulation, WRF-CP, CHIRS, MSWEP, and RFI flat data. In terms of spatial distribution of the precipitation, WRF-CP generally agrees with the other reference data sets, but our model has slightly positive bias, especially over the Western Black Sea region and over the Caucasus Mountains. Therefore, we wanted to detailedly check the reason of the bias, and we check the seasonal precipitation amounts. Please focus on the winter months at the top row. The model, the WRF-CP, has a positive bias, especially over the Western Black Sea region and the Caucasus regions, because when we look at the MPI-ESM data compared to the other, comparing with the other reference data, MPI-ESM also has a positive bias actually here over the Western Black Sea region and also the Caucasus region. Boundary conditions directly affect the simulation outputs, and we see that the bias of the MPI also affects our simulation results. That's why WRF-CP has a positive bias over this region. And here you can see the original square errors over the whole domain. The highest errors are in the winter months, and we found that the least error are in the autumn months. We checked seasonal precipitation biases also. Please be careful. Bluish colors indicates a positive bias of the WRF-CP. WRF-CP minus chips at the top row. In the middle, WRF-CP minus MSWEP. And at the bottom, WRF-CP minus F5 As I said before in the previous slide, the highest difference occurs in the winter months. There are two possible explanations for this reason. In the winter months and the mountainous regions, first of all, WRF-CP has a higher resolution compared to the reference data sets. Therefore, it better resolves the complex topography of the Black Sea region. It has very high resolution. It's 3 kilometer resolution. Other data sets is around 10 kilometer. The CHIPS data was around 5 kilometer. That's why WRF-CP produces more precipitation over the mountainous regions. And the second reason is related to observational uncertainties. Over the mountainous areas, the station network has a low density. There are not enough observations over that region, and these reanalysis and observational grid data are produced using station observations. If we do not have enough station observation, or grid data will also have a bias, and it's error. Part of the bias of our model may be related to the observational uncertainties. Following that, we check the daily precipitation amounts. We see similar results to the seasonal precipitation distribution. WRF-CP in here, WRF-CP better agrees with the CHIPS data set compared to the MSWEP and R5 data, even over the Western Black Sea region. This is precipitation intensity in milliliters per day. At the bottom row, we see wet-based climatology, number of days per year. Here, WRF-CP, in terms of number of days with precipitation, WRF-CP agrees with slightly CHIPS data and MSWEP data, and it does not really agree with the R5 data. Here we again see the observational uncertainties. Even if we have high resolution grid data set, we cannot just make a significant comment about the performance of the model, because there's even uncertainty between the high resolution grid data sets or analysis. Following that, we check the 300 precipitation amounts. This is an advantage of the high resolution simulation, because at the convection permitting scale, the model generally, and previous studies in the literature indicates that it improves the hourly precipitation intensities and also the daily cycle of the precipitation. We compared MPI-ESM outputs. This is our boundary conditions from the GCM. This is WRF-CP, our data, and this is MSWEP. We only use MSWEP because only the MSWEP has 3-hourly precipitation data, not hourly, 3-hourly totals, because MSWEP and MPI has 3-hourly data in the repositories. Similar to the other results, the highest precipitation amounts occur in the winter and non months. In summer, actually, our model has low precipitation amounts due to the low precipitation amount in the GCM. Direct consequence of the driving boundary conditions. We again see that. And at the last row, we see the autumn months. In the autumn months, actually, model has a good performance. Both the NPI-ESM and VOR-CP outputs are close to the MSWAP outputs. This was the seasonal climatology of the 3 hours precipitation. Here, again, 3 hour precipitation amounts. We took 2 example regions here, TR83 and TR90. This is the easternmost part of the Black Sea region, Eastern Black Sea region, and the region just west of the Eastern Black Sea region. These regions are defined by the European Statistics Office. We did not just choose these areas; they are defined by the European Statistics Office. We took all the grid points in these regions, the 3 hour precipitation amounts for NPI-ESM, green data, VOR-CP, the red one, and the MSWAP data. This is the purple one. We compared their probability distributions. When we look at the data, the most significant result is in here is the NPI data fails, representing the 3 hour precipitation amounts just after, let me say, 12 millimeter per 3 hours precipitation. You cannot see data after this point, and it does not agree with the MSWAP data. When we look at the VOR-CP, it's pretty agrees with this. I'm talking about for both regions. They are close, the results are close to each other. Our model agrees with the MSWAP data nearly around, let me say, 5 or 10 millimeter precipitation for 3 hours. After that point, actually, our data follows the MSWAP curve, but has a positive bias. We saw these results in the previous slides. These slides could be related to the higher resolution of the data or model or the observational uncertainties. But in general, the model agrees with the observations. For the last one, we checked maximum temperature climatology for each season. 1 minute? Oh, okay. These are the Ripken square error for each season. We calculated seasonal biases, but please focus over the Eastern Black Sea region for the summer months. The choice of the observational data or reanalysis data results in differences in the calculations of the biases, because there are 2 possible explanations. First, in the summer, VOR-CP has a negative bias over the Eastern Black Sea region compared to the terra climate, but there is no significant difference between the RFI trend. And this could be related to the representation of the clouds in the models. RFI trend comes from a dynamical model. It dynamically represents the clouds in the model, but terra climate is an observation-based data. I'm repeating the same thing. This could be related to the observational uncertainties because mountains are data sparse regions, and this could be contribute to the errors in the model. To sum up, I just talk about everything. Our model has a wet bias, especially in the winter months, and for the temperature, there is difference compared to the references of observation data, which could be related to the representation of the clouds in the models or the data. And we found these results satisfactory for a future simulation. And here's a sneak peek actually that we do from the simulation that we done for a future period, SNP 6. SSP37 future scenario simulations for the 2061-2070 period. We found a decrease in the precipitation in spring and summer, and then increase in the precipitation in winter months, especially over the Eastern Black Sea region. And this precipitation is probably the extreme precipitation increase in the future. And for the temperature, please focus over the eastern part of the Turkey. Increasing signal in the temperature is higher over the mountainous regions compared to the surroundings. This is related to reduction in the albedo in the model. This creates a kind of positive feedback mechanism. When the temperature increases, the snow cover shrinks over that region. This increases the albedo of the surface, and this further increases the temperature actually. this is an important point we have to focus on because reduction in snow cover also has hydrological impacts in the future. This area is the source of the Tigris and Euphrates basins. So we have to focus these areas in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barış. We can have some quick questions. Okay. First,
First of all, thank you for this beautiful study. Why did you choose the API model as an initial condition?
First of all, MPISM has a good performance over the Turkey. I remember a study from Ismail Yücel from Portugal. They compared the model outputs with the observations, and MPI was ranked as the first for the temperature, if I'm not wrong, and the precipitation was around the ranked as 7. It was the 7th. Yeah.
it's high resolution.
And it also has a higher resolution compared to the other GCMs. It has 100 kilometer horizontal resolution. And also you have specific data to force the Wolf model. MPI has this data actually. I couldn't find any other model that gives all the data to force the Wolf model.
6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hour at the 6 hour intervals for the boundary conditions. They are probably loading the data to the servers. They are not really at I think. But MPI one was ready for our solution.
You said that you compared these simulations with the observation plus the analysis data set, but did you ever check on the point station data from?
Not yet. We are still waiting for the.
Good point. For Turkish Meteorology Office, we are waiting the data. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Barış. And we have to move to next presentation from Sena Gülübo, and she's going to talk about the changes occurring in the wind farm during a cyclone transition in the Marmara region. We are now going back to the wind energy, right?
I have to do it.
No. Hasan şeyden mi? Şey kapat. Ha, orada. Görüntü zaten kapat. Yani yayın yapmıyoruz. İleride önceden
Geldi mi abi?
Gelmiştir. Sıkıntı yok.
Tamam, paylaşım çıkıyor. Okay.
First of all, I'd like to introduce to myself to you, and my name is Sena Gülübo, and I graduated from Istanbul Technical University Meteorological Engineering Department in June 2022. And today I will tell you the changes that occur during a cyclone transition in the Marmara region, which is my thesis topic. And I wrote this thesis with Tarık Kaytan, and thank you for his helpings, and thank you my teacher Şükran Menteş, and I will tell you about these topics actually. that contains introduction to sample literature, study domain methods, and the results. Introduction, and with the emergence of the climate crisis, the world is going to a point of no return. And in terms of reducing the climate crisis, countries have turned to renewable energy sources actually. And one of these renewable energy sources is wind energy. And the wind energy is comes to forth actually. And with the increasing demand for wind energy, it is designed to increase the efficiency of wind farms. However, the yield from wind farms may decrease depending on the duration of severe weather events. And therefore, in this study, the changes in the wind farm during a severe weather event were investigated. And in this section, I will tell you about two sample literatures that I see as a references in my work. And Tomaszewski and Lundqvist carried out observations and simulation studies for a wind farm that changes the storm outflow boundary following the storm. When the storm interacts with the wind farm, it caused a decrease in wind speed deficit. During the cyclone transition, reductions in the wind speed deficits, in the warm changes in the velocity and current temperature of the outer flow boundary were obtained. As a result of the simulation, the cyclone reduced its progress along the wind farm by about 10 km/h. There was a little variation in precipitation in the farm area. As a result, although it is seen that the wind farm may interact with the storm output, this effect is temporary and local. The other literature is Arthur et al. 2020 and performed simulation and the analysis of the cyclone transition along the wind farm in their study. And generalized actuator, this gap wind turbine modality work-less simulation is used to represent the turbine flow interaction. Various improvements have been made in this study to simulate realistic turbine operation. In this way, both the turbine response will be captured during the cyclone transition, and the cyclone dynamics will be found during the cyclone transition. As a result of this paper, the model predictions were found to be in good agreement with the observations. And this is our study domain actually. And in this study, we investigate the Marmara region in Turkey, where the wind speed is high and synoptic events can be easily observed actually. And this study was examined and in the Sudia region of Mudanya district of Bursa was chosen as the area. You see that this place located on Port North and 28 east coordinates. And when we went around, we looked at the weather tree website and we got these synoptic cards. And when we investigated these cards, we took the 11th December 2009 day. And you see, this is our model setup, and single level and pressure level 0.3 degrees airpipe data for 9 to 12 December were downloaded in grid format in order to examine the cyclone event and its effects, which is also affected the Bursa-Mesudia region on the 11th December 2009. In this study, for nested domains with a horizontal resolution of 27 kilometers, 9 kilometers, 3 kilometers, and 1 kilometer from the outer space. And while the interval between 9th December 12 a.m. and 12 December 12 a.m. Was selected as data, the first 24 hours were determined as the spin-up period and were not included in the result analysis. In the simulation, the hypothetical wind farm contains 10 10 meters, and the wind farm contains almost 100 turbines, and the turbine model is Siemens, and almost turbine rotor diameter is 120 meters, and we use some microphysics schemas, and for example, cumulus schema is Cambridge. And this is our methods. This model gives us outputs every 10 minutes, but we use our averages in the study, and we use work model with Fitch wind farm parameterization, and we calculate the error matrix. The root mean square error, we found it almost 9, and the other error metric is a mean percentage error, we found it's almost 7, and the maps, we created maps for wind turbine minus without turbine simulation, and this is our results. The first one is turbulence kinetic energy difference comparison. Actually, you see some maps in here, and turbulence kinetic energy is a measure of turbulence intensity, and both strong winds and strong earth warming increase the level of turbulence. As a result of Bohr simulation, the difference of TK values for areas with and without turbines is visualized. First, this is not a big difference, and when cyclone comes to our region, the difference comes to bigger and bigger. You see that the difference, which was almost 0.2 meters square per second square, just before the cyclone starts to affect the area, and this is increased almost to 2 meters square per second square for values following in the hours. And the other schemas are in here, and we see that the temperature difference comparison, and in an unstable atmosphere, that is cold air lying over warmer air creates a cooling near the surface by mixing cold air and warm air as a result of turbulent movements. The warming that occurs in wind farm in January is partly due to turbines that redistribute heat by mixing the boundary air. And turbines raise the temperature at ground level by mixing the warm air above with the cold air below. In this study, ground level temperature change was observed by subtracting simulation temperature values without turbine from simulation temperature values, with turbine according to the Bohr simulation results. During the one-day period of the cyclone, the temperature differences increased from 0 to 1 centigrade degree, showing the warming effect is an unstable atmosphere. And the last result is here is wind speed difference comparison. And generally, turbines have the potential to change incoming wind speeds and direction. With the increase in the turbulence in the environment, the wind intensity decreases with the sudden change in the horizontal and vertical direction and speed of the wind, which is called the wind shear. In this study, when examining for the cyclone transition on the 10th December at 12 p.m., the wind intensity difference is around 1 meter per second in the negative direction. This situation is a result of turbulence created by the turbines in the environment and a wave effect formed as a result of turbines affecting each other. With the slope effect of the cyclone, it is seen that there has been a negative increase in the wind increase in the wind intensity difference as the 10th December, 8 p.m. This decrease increased with the cyclone effect in the turbine simulation. And as a result, when the cyclone come to our place, the difference is almost 5 meters per second in negative way. And after the cyclone, the difference again decreased to 1 meter per second in negative way. However, since there will always be a wake effect in an environment with wind turbines, the wind intensity in the simulation different. Wind turbines will be lower than in a simulation without turbines, and this difference will be negative generally. And we will continue to this paper. We add to moisture and relative humidity parameters, and we will do an article to this paper. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sena. Any questions? I have one actually, just previous one. This is WSPD is what?
Wind speeds.
Just wind. Why is 90?
9 meters.
Huh? Okay, it's 90 meters. But why did you analyze the surface wind? You are analyzing the surface wind, but you are looking at also the 90-meter wind. You are analyzing, is it the previous one? Not this one. Can you go back to previous one? Yes, this is 2-meter temperature, right? Why we are expecting to change? I'm expecting to the more for upper levels, right? Actually, I'm considered to take a cross section to look at what's going on the cross section, and that will be much more interesting than this 2-meter temperature. And it's easy to do, right? Just one intersection and just look at what's going on in the boundary layer temperature. That should be very different things can be happening, I guess.
We will do it next time.
Okay.
We are working now.
But even the 2-meter, I mean, you are looking at the 90-meter wind. Okay, any question more? Because we have 1 minute. I think, oh, we have also eat the coffee break. Thank you, Sena. And this is the end of this climate modeling section. Thank you, everyone. We have now 15 minutes coffee break. Then we are starting the poster session. Poster session is going to be happen in 2 different rooms. One is here, and you are going to continue to watch from this link. I think we have one more link, right?
Yeah, there are 2 links. One, and the other room is just upstairs.
And if you want to see the presentations can be happen in the upper level. Thank you again.
Elis Güler. Emir Çiftçibaşı. Emre Bey siz sesiniz bu. Açık aslında. Neyse, biraz sonra seçecek bir şey. Bir defa bilmiyorum. Bari değil. Başlayalım inşallah. Good morning, everyone. We are going to start the poster session. This is the last session of Wednesday. We are going to start with Murat Ay, with the topic of trends of monthly temperatures of Sivas in Turkey. You see here? Okay. Başak. Online'da galiba. Okay. Oh, sorry. Murat Bey is at Zoom. Mr. I, you can share your screen and start presentation. Do you hear me? Okay, let's start with you if you are okay. Okay. Now we are going to listen Deniz Vural with the topic the importance of the education and outreach, methodology, climate change, and polar regions. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Denise. Normally, I study in permafrost research, but in the meantime, work at the Polar Research Institute under the education and outreach activities. And in this study, we try to measure the public awareness of what climate change in polar regions. And we apply some survey methodologies like Likert scale. Like you all know, we are talking about the anthropogenic effect. In another way, the human activities cause the abrupt changes in climate, or just the increase of the greenhouse gases. So we wanted to also measure the understanding, or in another way, how deep insight we could give the people we work, especially the young generation, in terms of the meteorology or climate of polar regions. And we made a survey covering 150 people. And with that people, most of the people, I have to say that like more than 35% of the participants were aged below 25. And this shows a high range of young participation, including middle school, high school, as well as universities. And in this research, if we can go below, so for example, on the right side, you see the answer to the, if you also can zoom into the image on, yeah, that one. So for example, there is one question, we have the type or the strength of questions. For example, the first question says, what does the answer measuring the
The listed answers below the distinguished layers of the atmosphere.
and you can see the percentage here. And depending on the education level or the knowledge, this is also not because of the presentations for the Research Institute here, but also the curricula, I mean, included like climate, polar regions or climate change included, related topics included in the curricula help people to answer some of the questions. And the following questions like, okay, like what is the percentage of the greenhouse gases, namely CO2 or I mean carbon dioxide, methane, and fluorocarbon, etc. So we also see the answers, and in another way, the knowledge that, okay, all the answers you see on the second figure below shows the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. And like the most picked ones, of course, CO2, CH4, and it goes like that. However, some of the gases that we all observed here that is not known by the participants because maybe on social media or limited answers. And some of the questions ask, okay, there is IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and it's also as well as 2 degrees Celsius. So what if as human being we can diminish, like how can we diminish our carbon footprint? And the other question is also, the previous question also says that what our activities cause. So the first place take the global warming and the melting glaciers, rising ocean and sea levels, and we can also include permafrost towing here, comes for the second, and drought comes for the third, and increasing the frequency and impact of weather events that probably is also important for our symposium to consider. Here comes at the fourth stage. And the other question shows that the increasing consumption of fossil fuels. So we have some activities, right? So greenhouse gases for the first table shows that these are the results, and the other one shows that the results of our activities. And the last one I couldn't include here because it was a bit longer, but I can shortly name like how we can change our daily life, and so does the climate. And here,
Last minute.
oh, okay, thank you. And here, some of the participants say that applying the alternative means of transport, applying the waste management in daily life, demanding preferring the consumer goods which has low carbon emissions. So here we see the importance of education
because the more we educate people on those related topics, the better we see how beneficial it in our daily life. And if we focus on protecting our environment, we will also protect our future and our future generations. This was the end of the survey result for us. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. You can ask questions at Poster Hall. No, not here, at Poster Hall. And now we are going to listen Mr. Murat Ay with the topic of trends of monthly temperatures of Sivas in Turkey.
Thank you very much. My voice is coming. Is there any problem for voice and videos? I'm beginning. Is there any problem, my voice?
We can hear you now, it's okay.
Okay. And my screen is here right now. Yes, I'm beginning right now. Dear Chair, thank you very much for your organization and sponsor for this conference, and many thanks again and again. My presentation is about temperature of Sivas. And I used the temperature data for the Sivas in Turkey, as you know. And temperature, as you know, is a critical variable, and having many aspects in scientific fields, as you know. My studies about temperature and mean, maximum, and minimum temperature. I use it for the trend analysis, and I used one trend analysis and homogeneity test. Homogeneity test, run test. I used the run test in this analysis, and Mann-Kendall test for the trend analysis. I used the Mann-Kendall trend test. And in this screen, we can see the result of the run test and data, feature of the data table. We can see this table 1 and table 2. Another other time periods, we can see this table here, table 1 and table 2. And figure B, figure 2, maximum, minimum, and mean values of the temperature, and linear regression equations, respectively, maximum, mean, and minimum. And I want to say about the results, run test and Mann-Kendall test. And run test, all data, mean, maximum, and minimum data sets have non-homogeneous data set, and Z values minus 70.39, and mean for mean values, and monthly maximum temperature data, and minus 70.39, and the last minimum temperature data series for the run test, and minus 17.24. And we can result of we can say that all data is have non-homogeneous data. And then when we talk about the Mann-Kendall test results, minimum, mean, and maximum data series, and Z critical values, all Z critical values positive degree, and this refers to data has a all data types, minimum, maximum, and mean data has a increasing type, and but statistically non-significant, we can say, for this data. But confidence levels, when we take the confidence levels, alpha equals 10%, and this time Z critical values 1.64, and this critical value, when we compare this critical value and calculated value, Mann-Kendall trend test, and mean and minimum and maximum data series, and are statistically significant trend type. We can see this from this table. And as a conclusion and summary, it was observed that the results were similar to other studies, Kadıoğlu, Ertürk, Zeybekoğlu, Karakuş, Selçuk, and these researchers took the other date period and other data type. And although the calculated Z values were high and positive, statistically insignificant trends at 95% confidence level and two-tailed hypothesis test were obtained. According to another 90% confidence interval with two-tailed hypothesis test, and trend in monthly minimum and maximum data are increasing type and also statistically significant as stated in table 4. And increasing trend in temperature has an increasing effect on evaporation. Therefore, it also
Last minute, Mr. I.
it also, okay, Chair. It also affects the amount of precipitation types, and these rain and dry periods affect all this in Sivas and like this other places in Turkey. Adaptation to this process for the data range, and it will be long time and important for the Sivas in the next years. And in these days, it's very also important to develop structures, materials, building methods, and design systems for extreme temperature events, especially in many related sectors such as construction, agriculture, and industry. For example, green building system can be constructed in the region. Precautions such as durable plants, afforestation, and quantitation of the sustainability in the ecosystem are required right now in other provinces like Sivas. Yes, thank you very much, dear Chair. My presentation is due.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Mr. I. Now it's time for Mrs. Saka, Fatma Başak Saka, analysis of now effect on precipitation for Istanbul, Turkey. Istanbul, Turkey. Yes. Which one? Hangisi gösterebiliriz?
No.
Yes, it's okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Fatma Başak Saka. I'm a last year master student at Istanbul Technical University Atmospheric Sciences program, and today I will present the topic about the North Atlantic oscillation effect on precipitation for Istanbul, especially the negative phase of the North Atlantic oscillation. We can start with the introduction actually. So the North Atlantic oscillation is the oscillation that happens basically in the North Atlantic, and it is because it is the interaction of the ice and flow and the ozonified pressure systems, and it may have some different effects on different situations and different meteorological conditions. But in our study, we wanted to examine that how it will affect the precipitation in Istanbul, especially. Maybe we can go into those. Okay, for the data, we use the RFI signal level 0.25 degree resolution data, and the area was selected for Istanbul and the time value of Tamar Mercy, and then we, for the time resolution, we chose 1987 to 2021 at the end of 2021, and we made some calculations, basically the statistical calculations, such as the correlation and then the contingency table analysis. The contingency table analysis are actually not the exact analysis that made for that type of specific analysis, but we wanted to know that if we can use that specific analysis on our topic. So that's why we go for it. Firstly, we started with the correlations, but we know that the North Atlantic oscillation effect can
can have some lag inside of its nature. So as soon as the index turns to a negative, it takes time. It takes a little bit more time to actually affect the Istanbul. So we wanted to know how the exact time range can be used in this case. So we calculate the correlations. The short-term and the long-term ranges are decided, and for the short-term, we examine the first 3 days after the exact date the index turns to negative, and for the long-term, we go with from 14 to 16 to check if there's a long-term effect on how the no effect turns to negative and how it will affect precipitation. So for the contingency tables, I want you to get a bit more on the left side, on my left, your right. Lower part. This is the default one. So we can say that at this point we turn data to a binary data, so we couldn't have to deal with the exact precipitation amount. We turn if the precipitation is more than 0, we assume it's 1, and if the precipitation is 0, it remains 0. And we also make the same thing for the North Atlantic Oscillation Index. If the index is negative, no matter how the amount of the index, we turn it into a 1. And if the index is positive, we turn it to 0, and then we make the contingency table analysis. It is basically a simple count, actually, but we can say that in the default version on the left side, the highest value has if the no index is positive and there is no precipitation at all. So we wanted to know if we can increase these numbers, playing with the time ranges. So you can say that for the short term, we have for the second day, we can say it has the highest correlation for the North Atlantic Oscillation Index turning to a negative and the precipitation. And for the long term, we can say that the 15th day has the highest correlation compared to others. So on the graph.
Last minute.
Okay, this is the comparison of the short term and long term. So you can say that in the short term, accuracy is higher. The positive predicted values are higher and the negative predicted values are higher. So we can say there's the analysis that we may need to use the North Atlantic Oscillation Index and the precipitation relationship. We can say that short term is more accurate, but also for the long term, there's a higher sensitivity and higher specificity, so it kind of gives an idea about depending on the situation. So I guess that's it. If you have any questions, I have 1 minute.
No, that's okay. You can answer the questions at the poster hall. Now it's time for Deniz Öztarhan.
Okay, thank you for your time.
With the presentation of analysis of electromagnetic wave propagation in a magnetic plasma slab by using finite difference time domain method.
Herkese merhaba, hoş geldiniz. Ben Deniz Öztarhan, Bilişim Enstitüsü'ndeyim İT'de. Ümit Haberleşmesi ve Uzaktan Algılama Programı'nda öğrenciyim. Biz ionosferdeki manyetik plazmada FDDT metoduyla dalga yayılımını inceledik.
Kendi pointer kullanabilirsiniz. Pointer'ı kullanabilirsiniz. Yok. Yok, sesiniz geliyor. Suyunu değiştirmek için.
Elektromanyetik dalga yayılımı ionosferdeki incelemesi de önemli bir konu uydu haberleşmesi açısından. Biz de bu yüzden FDDT metoduyla inceleyerek bir simülasyonunu elde etmek istedik. Burada burada plazma levhasında gelen dalgayı ve yayılan dalgaları ve yansıyan dalgaları görüyoruz. Sol tarafta yansıyan dalgalarımız var. Sağ tarafta ise iletilen dalgalar. Burada metodolojiden biraz bahsetmem gerekirse Maxwell denklemlerini kullandık ve daha sonra bu denklemleri iyi algoritmasına göre ayrıştırdık. Burada da ayrıştırdığımız denklemleri görebilirsiniz. Burada yine aşağıda elde ettiğimiz grafikler var bu algoritmadan yararlanarak. Birinci grafikte gelen dalgayı görüyoruz. Mavi bölge plazma bölgemiz. İkinci grafikte yansıyan dalga var. Üçüncü grafikte de yine yansıyan ve iletilen dalgayı görüyoruz. Burada kırmızı ile işaretlediğimiz yerler plazmadaki yansıyan dalgalarımız. Frekans aralığı olarak 0 ve 80 aralığında inceleme yaptık. Burada sol üstteki grafik yansıyan dalgaların frekansa bağlı grafiği, altta da yansıyan dalgaların fazının frekansına bağlı grafiğini görüyoruz. Sonraki slide. Burada sol üstte iletilen dalgaların manyetize edilmiş plazma sınavından iletilen dalgaları ve aşağıda da fazının frekansa bağlı grafiğini görüyoruz. Yine sağ tarafta da plazma levhasından gelen ve yansıyan dalgalar var. Sonuç olarak bu incelemeyi yaptığımızda FDDT algoritmasının bunu simüle etmek için çok hesaplama kolaylığı ve doğruluğu elde ettiğini gördük. Kadar. Teşekkür ederim.
Biz teşekkür ederiz. Thank you very much. Now we are going to listen Kemal Ege Sural with the topic of investigation of electrical discharge properties and vertical development of thunderstorms in South Asian region of Turkey.
Hello everyone, I'm Ege Sural and I'm the fourth grade student in ITU. So in our study, we investigate electrical discharge properties and the vertical development of the thunderstorm in South Asian region of Turkey. Thunderstorms are the most hazardous weather events and that can cause the damage on properties, transportation and financial losses, and it also can be it can also cause the health loss. So that's why to predict the thunderstorm potential is so crucial for everyone. So understanding the thunderstorm potential, we are using some indices, and thanks to these indices, we can understand the potential. So calculating potential is generally calculating the temperatures between the various levels. So when we get the results, it shows us how dangerous are the thunderstorms. In this study, we focus on the specific thunderstorm which happens in Bodrum, Turkey. It happens in the 22nd of September and the 23rd of September 2015. We use the ECMWF data for the whole region, and also we use the Vionic data for the vertical data. And thanks to the ECMWF data, we can plot these graphs, anomaly graphs, and we can see if there are some changes on these specific dates, and also for the whole month, there are some changes. And also we use the indices as a cape, which can say is a cape is the thunderstorm's energy, basically. So we can do these calculations to understand the cape. And on the other side, we can see the values, which values means the potential of the stability of the thunderstorm. And when the cape value is getting higher, it means getting more unstable. And also we look for the lifted index, and lifted index is the stability index. And when the lifted index getting under 0, it means getting unstable. And also we did the multilinear regression analysis, and with that we decide with compare with the Cape and the Lifford index. When we compare all these things in these two graphs, we can see these things, and some values are under 0 in Lifford index, and some values are really high in the Cape index side. So that's all for now.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Kemal. Now we are going to listen Janset Betülcan with the topic of coupled wake and blockage modeling for a wind farm.
Yes, thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. I will talk about the wake and blockage effect on wind farm. First of all, I want to say that wind farm consists of many wind turbines, and these turbines can affect each other in a bad way, unfortunately. And when we manage or reduce these effects, we can increase our annual energy production in the wind farm. In addition, we can manage the loads on the turbines, so which is positively affects the life of the turbine. The most important of these effects is the wake effect, and wake is the turbulent and complex and relatively weak flow behind the turbine. So it is active in the downstream area, and in a wind farm, this downstream area is the upstream area for another wind turbine. So we can model this effect with different methods, different models, and for blockage. The blockage effect is an effect produced by the wind farm itself, and it is effective in the upstream area, that is the induction zone. In the other words, while wake is effective behind the turbine, blockage is effective in front of the turbine. So therefore, we combined these two effects for a wind farm analysis. In this study, we used real-time data for analysis. And first, we examined only wake effects, and then we examined only blockage effects. Then we combined these two effects for the wind farm and compared the results with the SCADA data. These are our results. We have 5 turbines in this wind farm, and these plots represents different scenarios. For example, wind turbine 1 and wind direction 90 means that the wind turbine 1 is the first turbine of the wind farm at that direction. So it is not under wake. So the results are very similar to SCADA data. Then we do same thing for blockage model and coupled model, and these are our results. And the final result is the closest results to the SCADA data are self-similarity and Jensen local coupled model and self-similarity turbo Jensen coupled models. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Now we are going to listen Cihan Tuğrul Tezcan, topic of dealing with atmospheric turbulence from the perspective of astronomy.
Hello everyone, my name is Cihan Turgutezcan. I'm working as an astronomer at Doğu Anadolu Gözlemi Eastern Planetary Observatory, in short, DAG. We are building a 4M+ or middle class telescope. It will be the Turkey's biggest astronomical telescope and the first infrared telescope. We will make observations in infrared region. We are making bigger telescopes for collecting more light, and as a result of this, we have to deal with the atmospheric turbulence, because atmospheric turbulence has little packages around 20 centimeters with different temperatures. We call it eddies. These eddies created a scintillation and image motion on our detectors. With this situation, the quality of observations increasing according to turbulence power. We made this tower, we call this meteorological and astronomical monitor tower, mount tower. We equipped with this tower with various meteorological sensors and devices. In the middle of the, you see there is a telescope with 30 centimeter dual telescope. We will make observations of atmospheric turbulence quality with this system. And with the outputs of this system, we will feed the adaptive optic system at the main telescope at left. Dark adaptive optic systems will take these measurements, and adaptive optic systems will use it to correct atmospheric perturbations on the images.
Geçelim. Sonraki slayta mı geçelim?
Yes. In this short video, you see the effects of atmospheric turbulence on our focal plane. These are the stars. As you can see, they are moving constantly, and if you can see their magnitude flux is increasing or decreasing. This is because of full of atmospheric turbulence. Because the stellar objects, light emitting from them, and they have the flat waveforms until it reaches the Earth's atmosphere. And we're trying to measure these parameters from this kind of observations. And we will have outputs something like this. This plot shows us the different layers of atmosphere, and this atmosphere's turbulence power index you will see here. Atmospheric turbulence and these eddies create different refractive indexes on the starlight or stellar object lights. And we are measuring this power of turbulence and decide to, with the other meteorological parameters, finding some correlations between them and feed the adaptive optic system. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Now we are going to listen Recep Balbay with the presentation of Eastern Anatolian Observatory Meteorological Service Automatic Meteorological Observation Station.
Şu an açık.
Hello. Hello everyone, I'm Recep Balbay. Like my friend Cihan, I'm working as a astronomer at DAC, Doğu Gözlemi Observatory. In short talk, I'll give about the station with Turkish Station Meteorological Service that we grouped in the dark side. To give a little information about that, that is the I'm actually repeating Gian, but sorry for that. That is the biggest observatory with optical visible and first infrared observation capability with 4 meters telescope that is located on the summit near the city of Erzurum. With state meteorology service, we built a station, the highest station of Turkey in the dark side. You can see here, you already seen the dark part of this video. And this is the image of the TSMS ATMOS, the on-gate system. Station overview. These slides approximately 60 to 50 meters of south service building. It's a 9 by 9 meters area with the fences. And as soon as we provide some instruments and TSMS provide meteorological instruments, we give the infrastructure, electricity, like internet connections, and some special equipment. You can see the photograph of this station. The instruments, sensors that we use in the station, and some results, primary results of these stations of 2 years. You can see temperature histogram, pressure, relative humidity, wind, and wind force. You can see the distribution of these data. And the conclusion we will to the food and site weather observing system for the duck, and we provide this also provide us to some meteorological parameters. Both to these services. Thanks to important partnership for TSMS. Also, we used these data for various model simulation, weather forecasting. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you for your presentation. Now we are going to listen to Burakcan Kaymak, a MATLAB study for PV panel tilt and angle calculations by solar radiation of Istanbul, Turkey.
Hello everyone, my name is Burakcan Kaymak. I studied applied physics in Istanbul Technical University. Today I'm going to talk about my study of PV panel, angles, and shadow length, and its effect on total solar irradiance. As you know, the PV panel is the third renewable source in the world since 2019. And to maximize the power generations, we must study the optimum angles and optimum distance between the panels. In this study, we used photovoltaic solar energy and different models. Since isotropic sky only determines the solar irradiance for a single tilted area, it omits the effects of shadows in the second and preceding rows. So, calculate the shadow length and solar panel angles. The previous. we used different tilt angles and calculated different shadow length at solar noon. Since Istanbul is in northern hemisphere, the shadow length reached maxima in December 21st. And in the second graph, you can see the azimuthal angle of the shadow. Since it's a compass direction, it shows where the sunlight is coming from and where the shadows forming. And for a 1 meter panel, shadow length reaches 6 meters during the sunrise and sunset. Can you go? Yes. Since shadow length changes the solar irradiance, reflected solar irradiance between the first and second row, we need to change the formal model to calculate the total solar irradiance. But the reflected solar irradiance also comes from the first panel's back surface, but it's a negligible since it's a really dark place. But the shadow length and the shadow length ratio changes the reflected between the panel tilt angle, panel area. Can you below the results? In results, as you can see, the second row, total solar irradiance is below the first one because the shadow length covers the most of the area, and it doesn't, since photovoltaic solar cells needs light to work, and the shadow blocks the light and needs to be below the 50% of the distance between each row. For a 1 meter panel tilt angle, minimum shadow length for a panel with 25-degree tilt angle, the minimum shadow length is like 1.79 meters, and this is for the solar moon at December. For summer, for a 75-degree tilt angle, shadow length reaches half a meter. For conclusion, the optimum panel tilt angle for Istanbul is 25-degree during winter, 50 during spring and autumn, and 75 during summer. Like I said before, the tilt angle, the shadow length is half a meter and 1.8 meters. And in northern hemisphere, shadow length must be calculated for December 21st. In northern hemisphere, needs to be calculated for June 21st. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, I will answer them in the poster hall.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Now we are going to listen something in Antarctica. It's time for Furkan Ali Küçük with the presentation of estimating ionospheric slab thickness for the 1 month period of December 2021 in Horseshoe Island, Western Antarctica.
Hello, my name is Furkan Ali Küçük, and I'm a researcher
in TÜBİTAK Polar Research Institute. Also, I am also an atmospheric scientist. I will talk about estimating aerospace collectiveness for the 1 month period in Antarctica, Russia, and Western Antarctica. My context is abstract introduction, methods, results, and conclusion. So the purpose of the work describes the changes in the aerospace collectiveness and also relationship between total electron contents and how the change then solar active. So what is the aerospace collectiveness? It's a shape factor of electron density profile. So I will talk about method. Please. You can see the figure 1. This is the location of Antarctica. It's A, and this is the Antarctic Peninsula B, and C, Horseshoe Island. Our GNSS system in Horseshoe Island. So please go down. We can see the GNSS system. Figure 2. First GNSS station in Antarctica, we can call 2-1, and also we have 2-2. There is a 3 GNSS system in Antarctica. This is the first one. Also go up this method here. In the GNSS system, we use a Python code, and we get the Rhinex data to cover the GNSS tag to Python package. We use Python package also. We can talk with our results, please. So this is chart 1, yeah. Please do it.
Chart or result?
Yeah, chart. Yeah, thank you very much. There's a two figures, and figure 8 and figure 9. Figure 8 is give a GNSS and NEQI2 model, total electron content data from to December 22 till to end of December 30. Pointer, is pointer?
Yes.
Here's a night, here's a day, here's a night, here's a day, here's a night, here's a day, here's a night, and here's a day. We can talk about this graph. There's no relationship GNSS data and model in the day. But we can say now there's effective data. Also, and the figure 8 and figure show that is the aerospace collectiveness tech day maximum occurs between 2 and 4 U2, and the tech day minimum occur after 8 a.m. U2. Also, there's a lack of data. We are sorry to this because of weather conditions. GNSS system is not effective sometimes. Sorry for that. Due to the lack of the data, no strong correlation was found between the solar phase and selectiveness, but I think we will solve that. So that's the finish. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Now we are going to listen Sinan Şahinoğlu, a student from Samsun University. İstanbul Uluslararası Havalimanı'ndan meydana gelen kar hadiselerin meteorolojik analizi isimli sunumunu dinleyeceğiz. Sinan Şahinoğlu. Sen
Nasılsınız hocam? Başlayabilir miyiz? Herkese merhaba öncelikle. Ben Sinan Şahinoğlu, 4. sınıf meteoroloji mühendisiyim İTÜ'de. Bugünkü bizim çalışmamız İstanbul Uluslararası Havalimanı'ndaki kar yağışlarının 2018'den 2022'ye kadar olanki analizleri olacak. Biz bu çalışmada 3 ana sistemi inceledik kar yağışı olarak. Birincisi 2019-23-24 Şubat kar yağışı sistemi, ikincisi 21-24 Ocak 2022 sistemi, üçüncü sistem olarak ise 10-13 Mart 2022'deki kar yağışı sistemi inceledik. Biz bu çalışmamızda oraya gelir misin? Biz bu çalışmamızda meteor ve spesir rasatlarını kullandık. Denk yağışlarının kar bandı oluşturduğunu tespit etmek içinse uydu görüntülerini kullandık. Modis ve Terra, Aqua ve Terra'yı. Daha sonra bunları doğrulamak içinse İstanbul radarının MAX ürününü kullandık. Aynı şekilde sinoptik rasatlara baktık kar kalınlıkları için. Sistemin blokaj mı yoksa hangi tür bir blokaj olduğunu tespit etmek için sinoptik haritaları R5 RMS verilerini kullanarak analiz ettik. Daha sonra biz deniz etkili ve siklonik bir kar yağışı olduğunu belirleyebilmek için bir akış şeması oluşturduk. İşte tepe enversiyonu var mı? Eğer tepe enversiyonu var ise bunun denk olabileceğini, eğer tepe enversiyonu yoksa bunun siklonik olabileceğini. Ama bunun yanı sıra tepe enversiyonu olsa bile belli başka şartları da sağlaması gerekiyor. Süren kısıtlı olduğu için burada ona pek bahsetmeyeceğim. Daha sonra 2018'den 2022'ye kadar 3 sistemi incelediğimizden bahsetmiştik. Burada en etkili olan kar yağış sistem 2022-24 Ocak'ta meydana gelen sistemde oldu. Şurada radar görüntüsünü görebiliyorsunuz 21 Ocak sırasıyla 22 ve 23-24 Ocak'ta geliyor. En etkili olan gün 24 Ocak 2022. Ertesi sabahı 25 Ocak sabahı yapılan sinoptik rasatlarda 36 santim kar kalınlığı ölçüldüğü bildiriliyor ki bu İstanbul Havalimanı açılımından beri en yüksek kar kalınlığı şu ana kadar. Daha sonra meteor ve spesir rasatlarına baktığımızda ise en çok kar sahne ve kar yağışı gökyüzü kar sahneklerinin 13 Mart 2022'deki kar yağışı sistemde meydana geldiğini gözlemledik, analiz ettik yani. Daha sonra periyodumuz dar olduğu için yani 2018'den 2022'ye kadar tamam 5-6 tane kar yağışlı sistem var ancak bunlardan sadece 3 tanesi etkili olduğu için genel bir kanıya varmadık. Bu yüzden de bu çalışmayı ileriye götürülüp daha bir kapsamlı istasyon verilerinde geçmiş yönelik model verileri kullanılıp analizin yapılması gerektiğini kanısına vardık. Benim söyleyeceklerim bu kadar.
teşekkür ediyoruz Sinan'a. Şimdi de Ayten Ayar Göktaş'ı dinleyeceğiz. Konya Havalimanı'nda 2012-2021 yıllarında meydana gelen gök gürültülü fırtınaların araştırılması isimli sunumuyla.
Merhabalar.
Merhaba, buyurun sizi dinliyoruz.
Teşekkürler. Bülent Akarcalı Anadolu Lisesi Fizik Öğretmeniyim. Aynı zamanda da Atmosfer Bilimleri programında yüksek lisans öğrencisiyim. Bu çalışmayı hocamız yine Meteoroloji Mühendisliği bölümü öğretim üyelerinden Doçent Doktor Emrah Tunca Özdemir ile birlikte yaptık. Çalışma alanımız Konya ilimizde. Konya ilimizdeki havaalanı seçme nedenimiz Konya ilindeki havaalanının hem sivil hem de askeri uçuşlar için kullanılıyor olması. Ayrıca İç Anadolu'da olduğu için ve büyük bir ilimiz sivil uçuşlar açısından da önemliydi. Yine burası askeri uçuşlar için kullanıldığından dolayı ve uluslararası tatbikatlar da kullanıldığı için ve eğitimlerde de kullanıldığı için bizim için önemli bir mekandı. O yüzden Konya Havalimanı ile ilgili bir çalışma yaptık. Bu tür çalışmalarda uzaktan algılama, metal ya da yerinde gözlem verileri kullanılmıştır. Biz metal verilerini kullanmayı tercih ettik. Metal verileri havalimanlarında yapılan gözlemler sonucu elde edilen verilerdir. Bunlarda space ve trend verileri de olabilir fakat biz yalnızca metal kısmına odaklandık. Yani incelediğimiz veriler arasında rüzgar hızı, pist görüş uzaklığı, halihazır hava durumu, özellikle fırtına ile ilgili bilgileri buradan elde ettik. Bulutluluk durumu, sıcaklık, çiğ nokta sıcaklığı ve altimetrik basınç bilgilerine yer verilir. İncelediğimiz dönem 2012-2021 yılları arasını kapsıyor. Çünkü bu yıllardaki veriler tamdı. Diğer yıllardaki verilerde eksiklikler vardı. O yüzden yalnızca bu 10 yıllık dönemi inceleyebildik. Birinci tabloda her yıl içinde gerçekleşen fırtına çeşitlerini ve toplam fırtına sayılarını görüyorsunuz. Burada 10 yıl içerisinde 505 tane fırtına kaydedilmiş. Ve hafif orta şiddetli olanlar daha çok iken bu dönem içerisinde şiddetli olan yani gök gürültülü fırtınalar yalnızca 5 tane gözlenmiştir. Yine fırtınaların yıllara göre dağılımları tablomuzda görülmektedir. Buraya baktığımız zaman da yani tabloyla görülmesi de grafikte net bir şekilde görülen fırtına sayılarında yıldan yıla artışlar olması. Zaman zaman düşüş olsa bile toplamda hep bir artışa doğru gidiyor. Şiddetli fırtınalar tüm fırtınaların yalnızca %1'ini oluşturmaktadır. Hafif şiddetli olanlar %55'ini, orta şiddetli olanlar ise %35'ini oluşturuyor. Fırtına sayılarını bir de aylara göre dağılımını incelemek istedik. Hafif orta şiddetli olanların aylara göre dağılımı tabloda görülmektedir. Burada fark ettiğimiz şey fırtınaların meydana gelme zamanlarının önceki yıllarda daha yaz aylarındayken daha sonraları sonbahar ve kış aylarına doğru da kaymış olması yani genişlemiş olması. Bütün bunlardan yola çıkarak bir doğrusal analiz yaptığımız zaman fırtına sayılarında 2012-2020 yılları arasında Konya Havalimanı'nda bir artış gözlendiğini söyleyebiliriz. Fakat fırtına şiddetlerini incelediğimiz zaman ayrıca şurada bir tane daha tablo vardı, onu göstermek istiyordum ama neyse. Fırtına şiddetleri tek tek de inceledik yine bu 5 tane şiddetli olan fırtınanın şartlarına ve şöyle bir sonuç çıkmıyor. Yani fırtına sayısı artıyor ya da fırtına sayısı azalıyor ama şiddetleri artıyor. Çünkü bu süren yorumlar var. İklim değişikliği sebebiyle gelecekte yaşanacak olan fırtına sayıları azalırken daha şiddetli fırtınalar görülecektir şeklinde. Ama biz öyle bir sonuca ulaşamadık. Özellikle şiddetli fırtına sayısı sadece 5 tane olduğu için böyle bir yorum yapmak için yeterli değildi incelediğimiz dönem için. Ve fırtınaların şiddetiyle alakalı olarak da artış ya da azalış şeklinde bir yorum yapamadık. Sunumum bu kadar. Verileri sağlayan Meteoroloji Genel Müdürlüğü'ne ve Organizasyon Komitesi'ne çok teşekkür ediyorum. Sorularınız varsa alabilirim. Teşekkürler.
Teşekkürler. Çok sağ olun. We are going to listen of agricultural irrigation management in Turkey against increasing drought due to climate change.
Benim bugün sizlere sunacağım özellikle Güneydoğu Anadolu bölgesini kapsayan kuraklığa karşı tarımsal sulama açısından alınabilecek önlemler. Postere bağlı kalmadan doğaçlama sunumu yapmaya çalışacağım. Bildiğiniz üzere meteorolojik kuraklıkla başlayan kuraklık kendisini tarım ürünlerindeki verim düşüşü yani tarımsal kuraklık şeklinde göstermekte. Arkasından da hidrolojik kuraklık ve buna bağlı olarak sosyoekonomik kuraklık şeklinde devam etmekte. Özellikle 2020, 2021 ve şu günlerde de hala etkisini sürdüren Güneydoğu Anadolu bölgesinde ciddi bir kuraklık gözlenmekte. Ben de Meteoroloji İşleri Genel Müdürlüğü'nden aldığım verileri birbirine kıyasladığım zaman aynı zamanda o şehirde kuraklık kriz hızında da çalışmaktayım. Burada yağışların %54 dolayında normallere göre azaldığı 2020 senesinde ve 2021 senesinde de yine %48'lerde bir azalış söz konusuydu. Peki bu tarımsal üretime nasıl yansıdı? Özellikle tahıl üretimi çok yaygın olan bir bölge, Güneydoğu Anadolu bölgesi, özellikle Diyarbakır ili. Maalesef verimlerde de ciddi düşüşler, yani dekara 500-600 kilogramlar yerine 250-300 kilogramlar bazen alındı, bazen de sulamayla birlikte alınabildi, tamamlayıcı sulama uygulamalarıyla birlikte. Peki böylesi bir durumda artık o kadar frekansı ve sıklığı artmaya başladı ki bu kuraklık durumunu biz ne yapabiliriz? Ziraat mühendisleri ya da tarımla ilgilenen insanlar olarak elbette ki çok çeşitli yönleri var. Evlerden başlayıp kamuda bir takım tedbirler alınıyor ama biliyoruz ki toplamda kullanılan suyun %70'inden fazlası hem dünyada hem de ülkemizde tarımda kullanılıyor. Bu nedenle de özellikle marjinal sulama suyu kaynakları, yani arıtılmış evsel atık suların pamuk gibi çok su tüketen ve doğrudan gelmeyen bitkilerle kullanımı ya da rekreasyon alanlarında sulanması önemli faktörlerden bir tanesi. Bir de maalesef çarpıcı bir sonuç var. O da şöyle, özellikle il bazında vurgu yapacağım, yayınlanan bir sonuç çünkü. Her bölgesinde bir hektara yaklaşık olarak 5.000 metreküp su gerekirken kaynaktan saptırılan miktar 10.600 metreküp dolayında. Bu da kendisiyle birlikte hem yüzey erozyonu, siltasyon ve daha birçok problemi de beraberinde getiriyor. Dolayısıyla daha çok suyu tasarruf eden basınçlı sulama yöntemlerinin özendirilmesi, çiftçi boyutunda eğitimleri, bakanlık düzeyinde bunların desteklenmesinin devam etmesi gerekmekte. Onun dışında yine zaman zaman bu geçtiğimiz sene içerisinde Diyarbakır kuraklık kriz masasının aldığı bir karar da şöyleydi: az su tüketen ya da suya az ihtiyaç duyan ürünlerin üretilmesi, yani çok su tüketen bir ürün üretmek istiyorsa çiftçi burada devlet su işlerinin valilik kararıyla tabii ki kotasıyla karşı karşıya geliyor ve bunun bu sene için üretimi maalesef engellenmiş ya da önüne geçilmiş oluyor. Dolayısıyla bu kadar çok su tüketen, %70 oranında su tüketen ve gün geçtikçe nüfusun arttığı hem sanayiden hem de belediyelerin içme ve kullanma suyunun baskı yaptığı sektör olan sulamada özellikle yeniden suların kullanımı, yani geri dönüşüm şeklinde ve temiz sular kullanılırken bunların da tasarrufla kullanılması oldukça önem taşımakta. Tabii ki de Güneydoğu Anadolu bölgesi için şunu da söyleyebilirim. Gece ve gündüz arasında yapılan sulamalarda yaklaşık olarak %15'lik bir su tasarrufu söz konusu oluyor. Bu nedenle günün serin saatlerinde sulamayı da tabii ki her zaman için öneriyoruz. Benim çalışmam bir derlemeydi, herhangi bir yönteme ya da bir araştırmaya bağlı olmadığı için bu şekilde özetlemek isterim. Varsa sorunuz burada. Çok teşekkür ederim.
Biz teşekkür ederiz hocam.
Cuma günü zannediyordum. Bu posterlerden sonra oldu. Bugün çok hızlı uçakla birkaç vesayette şimdi tam dakikasındayım şimdi.
Çok teşekkür ederiz hocam. Now we are going to listen Seda Nur Soyer with the topic of research of pollutant changes caused by transportation effect for the Marmara region. Seda Nur, you have 5 minutes, okay? We can't hear you now.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Now,
Can you hear me now?
yes, we can hear you. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. Again, hello everyone. I am Seda Nur and today I'm going to talk about the pollutant changes caused by transportation effect for the Marmara region. As we all know, there are many studies that include statistical analysis on air pollution in Turkey. However, studies on bus transportation mostly include research on transport from the southern floor. For example, in the Sahara Desert transportation. So in this study, the pollution data between January 2017 and December 2021 were examined, and methodological data analysis were also made for the periods in which the increases in pollutants were detected and the increases due to transport in the air pollution data in the Marmara region were investigated. Then these periods were specified to 2018 and 2019.
Bizde değişmedi. Aynısı.
Şimdi değiştirecektim hocam o yüzden. Now, when we look at the wind profiles of the stations, we see that they are very similar. The prevailing wind direction is north-northeast, and mostly the wind speed is mostly around 5 meters per second. And wind direction of Fatih station chosen for Aksaray is similar to the Mecidiyeköy station as well. And if you look at the 2018 and 2019 period, when the days, the wind direction is blown from the north and northeast directions at Mecidiyeköy, it is seen that there are decreases in the wind speed. If you look at the specified date ranges, for example, the period of May 2018, as we can see here, there was an increase of approximately 70% in the amount of carbon monoxide. And with the change of wind direction in Aksaray station, values that increases in wind speed above 3 meters per second, and then showed a decreasing trend have been determined. Although it's observed that carbon monoxide values, they don't exceed limit value, there have been increases from time to time in daily basis. And the periods such as, for example, July and August 2018, and November, as we can see here, and November 2019, when these increases are experienced and they are related to the wind direction change. If we check the Üsküdar-Kadıköy line, here their wind profiles also very similar, just wind speeds are a little bit more. They changes around 9 to 11 meters per second. Here it's observed that the wind direction changes in the northeast direction, and the wind speed also tends to decrease during this period, and the carbon monoxide amount also increases daily. According to the carbon monoxide pollutant data and the wind direction change at the Kadıköy station, there are periodic increases in carbon monoxide values during the periods when the wind is mostly from the north. Then I chose specific periods to be able to see the relationships more clear. If you look at the 25 to 30 July range, the wind direction changed to northeast direction, and there's a decrease in wind speed again, and about in carbon monoxide amount, about approximately 45% increasing we observe. And in the periods when the wind speed decreases, also an increase in the amount of carbon monoxide is observed. If we check the Üsküdar-Kadıköy line in a specific range again, July-August 2019, with the wind turning to the north on 15 and 16 July, carbon monoxide values increased by approximately 50% at Kadıköy station and almost 40% at Üsküdar station. We can say that the carbon monoxide amounts are lower than the general distribution during periods of high wind speed. I also wanted to check the PM situations with specified date ranges. And again, I can say that during this period, when there was an increase in the Mecidiyeköy station, for example, parallel increases were also experienced in the Aksaray station as well. It's possible to see an increase in PM10 data in the days following these specified dates that I was talking about the other section. And PM2.5 data also at these stations approached the limit value, and it was exceeded for many days. Also, if we check the high secret analysis for this times, we can see that almost all three levels during this period, the flow is mostly from the north-northeast, and we can say that that also caused small particles to be transported from those directions to the studied station. To conclude, it has been observed that there are similar increases those stations when the airflow mostly from north-northeast direction. And with these analysis, we can also say that This station, the pollution, the transportation, actually, it's from mostly neighboring areas to each other. In addition, I can recommend that to continue the trajectory analysis beyond the days of increase, and if it will be better to investigate where these particles can be affect the further trajectories. It will be better to check this as well. Thank you for listening. Here's my references.
Thank you for your presentation. Dear all, thank you for your participation and listening to this session. See you tomorrow.